ladies and gentlemen, take 4 going into now our 4th game of the day. Immortals Academy came out swinging. They said, you know what? We heard all of this analyst ass talking mad about us not being able to pull out a game. Well, you know what? We brought out the catfish, and they catfish 100 Thieves into thinking that they were going to get a Game 3 win. So now, Immortals Academy getting the momentum swing right back on their end. And Josh, there are many pieces about the Immortals draft that just worked so much better for them cohesively.
It really did, and I think you started with Joey right there. You know, he has been playing the catfish, and despite an unfortunate beginning to the game and, an unfortunate beginning to the series, honestly, he finally is on a champion where he was able to stay alive throughout enough of these long fights, and ultimately having that extra amount of time that he's able to stay alive during all these fights and not necessarily having to be the only one on the team making these big plays really allowed Joey to shine a little bit more and also give the rest of Immortals opportunities to go for other proactive plays. And of course, lick in the bush.
Ooh. The other members of Immortals, they could do their own thing, right? Anda had an incredible performance on the Lee Sin, could set up a lot of these plays. We mentioned as well Pretty and Viper. It's like Joey didn't have to be the one to go in first. It wasn't like the Leona, it wasn't the Gragas, the only form of hard CC engage for them. And also, yeah, got to catfish 100 Thieves in. He's so tanky that they just kept trying to catch Joey, especially earlier on in the game, which bought the rest of Immortals a lot of space to actually play around.
Let's be real, they caught him quite a bit, right? But the thing is, he was able to buy so much time and buy so many cooldowns that it kind of didn't matter. And of course, I've been saying just like the simulations, I'm sure nobody else gets it, but look up Riot Affik. He's the guy who taught me how to play Gnar and one of the game test designers or game test leads. There's a lot of things that you're able to do here now when you have the mobility, when Viper and Anda and Pretty are able to just have enough left in the tank to turn on all the single target members that Smax was highlighting earlier.
And a lot of these fights, they just kind of worked perfectly into Immortals' favor. They win the fight, there's an objective right there that they can then capitalize on. So it wasn't just fighting for the sake of fighting, it was oftentimes fighting for these bigger objectives that they'd pick up after that. I also just want to highlight again the fact that the draft here is so different from what we expect from 100 Thieves. This is now the 3rd unique mid laner Ryoma has played throughout this series alone. He hasn't played any of these 3 champions, Orianna, Galio, or now I'm blanking immediately now that's no longer on the screen, the Rise, throughout the summer split. But pulling all these out, maybe they're indexing a little too much into trying new things. Maybe this is 100 Thieves Academy saying, all right, well, let's just kind of throw everything at the wall and see what sticks throughout this series, have some fun with it. But this time around, Immortals Academy, with their draft, were able to actually answer that and be a little more proactive with their own plays.
Well, so then let me answer that question or answer that with another question for you, Kangas. Going into Game 4, if 100 Thieves have been kind of pulling out too many new things to experiment with, I think the biggest piece that was kind of a hard thing to execute was introducing the Fiora top lane, because it's not just like a simple front line or a split pusher that also has utility to bring into a team fight like the Camille, right? The Fiora doesn't really bring that much unless you're just insanely ahead and you can just start sustaining yourself off of team fights. So if we're looking at Game 4, 100 Thieves will now be taking the blue side for the first time this series. So what are your suspicions on their first takes in this upcoming draft?
Well, I had actually messaged Tenacity before the game started earlier this morning on Twitter, asking him a series of questions. I just like to kind of pick the players' brains, pick coaches' brains, so I can kind of highlight them a little bit more. He didn't respond, but I did ask. I got ghosted, but I did specifically ask, if Viper locks in a carry, are you going to chicken out and go tank, or are you going to match him on the carry role? We saw him try and match. I think you can go back to the Ornn. I think we can go back to the tanks now if you're Tenacity after that last performance. Because, yeah, the Fiora didn't quite work out for him.
Someone cue up the Ornn McNuggets meme with Papa Smithy from McDonald's, man. It's time to put... It's time to put Tenacity back in Ornn jail. I don't want to be too harsh, though, because his Camille in Game 2 also was fine, as well for 100 Thieves. So, we're totally memeing and joking that, like, he has to go back on a frontliner. I think 100 Thieves just need to go back to comfort is the big idea, Josh, overall.
I think what we kind of saw there was we saw two compositions that didn't really have true front lines going head to head against each other, and that's something that Immortals, as we get, sorry, you guys can probably hear the wee woo going on at the same time, but it is a situation where when you go for all of these fights over and over again, the top half of Immortals, I think, are still man for man stronger individually than all the members of 100 Thieves. And so if you kind of subvert that and go for the front to back that we kind of saw previously, you have a strong tank player in Tenest, you have a strong backliner in Luger, allow them to play to their strengths, and we should be looking at a 3-1 pretty convincingly.
Yeah, I definitely think 100 Thieves Academy can still bounce back from this one. And now they're switching up sides as well. Aphelios has been hotly contested throughout the series so far. I wouldn't be too surprised to see 100 Thieves Academy draft that first, just lock that in right away, because they red one it in the first game. We were talking about the pick order, and it was actually Immortals opting into the Xin Zhao, but then it's just been blue one picks every time. So I think that 100 Thieves will probably stick with that. Also interesting to note how early on that LeBlanc was picked for Immortals. They red dude that, or blue dude that one. So I think it's showing that they just want Pretty on something that he can actually facilitate on and have a harder carry performance on individually. So I think both of these teams, it's cool to see how they've adapted throughout the series so far. But now that we get 100 Thieves back on blue side, I do favor them a little bit if they can get that Aphelios.
Yeah, and I think that's something that we skipped out a little bit in looking back on this game 3. This is the first time we saw Pretty not only still on a carry champion, but also actually be accelerated. Because game 1 on Syndra, you do have a lot of access to getting priority first, but kind of got griefed when they called for the TP play on the bottom side of the map, and they left him to bite the dust when Immortals Academy just backed off the play, and then Pretty was set far behind. And in game 2, Twist of Fate, unless you're monstrously ahead like Shizuke in that one Evil Geniuses game on Twist of Fate, then, you know, as Twist of Fate, you're not necessarily a carry. You are a facilitator trying to enable the rest of the map. But on this LeBlanc, you actually get to blow up people, Josh.
Oddly enough, that Twist of Fate was also against the 100 Thieves Academy roster.
True. Yeah, I think it's also a situation, though, where the LeBlanc didn't have a lot of easy crowd control that is really playing up against, right? It's very difficult to consistently land the Syndra stun if LeBlanc hops over a wall. Rise takes a little bit too long, and by that time, you've already lost 2/3 of your HP. I think it's going to be a situation where LeBlanc, if it gets picked up again, isn't going to have as easy of a game to go up against, because I imagine there's going to be more crowd control in any future compositions that 100 Thieves are going to be drafting.
Yeah, crowd control is one way to look at it, but also just felt like they were distracted. Like, Pretty just kept finding ways to get over these walls, finding ways to get onto the composition of 100 Thieves, because they were just so focused on Joey. They're like, there's the catfish, there's Joey, he's out of position again. Try and throw every cooldown at him. But
I wonder then, you know, with that in mind, is this a situation where they're going back to what Immortals used to be doing? Because we do know that Pretty used to be the one who was the primary shot caller, whereas Joey, I mean, if he's not having as good of a day, if he's not being as successful in shot calling, maybe we're just seeing a reversion of Immortals to like an older style that we know that they've been able to play with rather successfully throughout the Academy split.
yeah, and also when I had you reach out to Jensen earlier, and he provided some great insight into kind of how they've been developing as a team. They've been looking for multiple styles to play themselves. So Immortals is trying to diversify their own play style and not be this kind of like one-dimensional top-heavy side team. So maybe that's also what we're seeing, is trying to do different things here. But going back, yeah, to just Pretty on a champion that he can shot call and carry with could just be how they do it.
Well. You know, Pretty, once for the first time in this series, was enabled to take the carry reins and take destiny in his own hands, despite not playing Twisted Fate. As we are getting ready for Game 4, ladies and gentlemen, is this still the continuation of a potential reverse sweep for Immortals Academy, or will 100 Thieves stop them in their tracks? Zone Smacks. It's up to you to see who goes down.
Welcome to game number 4. Thank you, Rafa, because we could not be more excited for what is unfolding here. The potential of Silver Scrapes on the line. The potential of the reverse sweep on the line. This time around, we get a little change up here. 100 Thieves Academy on that blue side for the first time of the series, and Immortals on the red side. Similar bans for both sides, though. Again, Smacks, as we get the Zig Diana, tried and true at this point for 100 Thieves Academy, and the Lucian following that one. The Xin Zhao, the Thresh, key bans from Immortals Academy.
We'll see if they want to ban Aphelios alongside it, as they have first picked that champion in all of the games so far. For Immortals on blue side, the first two games, or the games 2 and 3, and then 100 on red side in game 1. So they're not going to ban it, though. It is going to be the Viego instead, which means that 100 Thieves can first pick it, but we forgot, Lennon. We forgot about Varus.
It's been banned
so
all
it
series.
seems dead Immortals. So Varus is here for Luger.
So they see what Kenvy's been able to accomplish on the Viego. I mean, even in that last game, he was still popping off on that pick. So they don't want to deal with that one anymore. They want to opt into the Luger Varus, but that is a scary proposition. This dude is a monster on the champion, and we'll see what kind of flexibility he can bring to the draft for 100 Thieves Academy as we get the instant lock-in of that Lee Sin for Anda, potentially still a little bit of flexibility.
Yeah, at least this way, Immortals can trade the Varus for Aphelios on their side, but it is still giving over this very highly prized lethality or on-hit champion, no matter what 100 Thieves actually want to do. Immortals do trade it, though. They do still pick up the Aphelios. I was wondering if they were going to pick it second or try to go for a more hotly contested pick to deny it away from 100, but they're going to play it safe. They want to respond to what 100 Thieves are going to do, and they will lock it up.
I like that pickup here. A little bit of a tussle between these two ADCs going on in the bot lane this time around. My biggest piece to that bot lane is the support. What do we see this time around? Does the Tom Kench resurface? Does it do another Abyssal dive into this draft for Immortals? But it's a scary proposition because you got Leona and LeBlanc locked in for 100 Thieves Academy.
I would not hate the repeat of the Tom Kench for Joey. He and Keith looked very good on that duo in the last game, but they didn't have to deal with Varus. So that's the main thing they have to think about.
Or LeBlanc.
Yeah, that's true. Ryoma stealing that pick away from Pretty, who also had a great game. It's almost like if you're winning the game, your players look a little bit better.
Oh,
but
this
for Pretty,
is lit.
he's brought out the tech of the Lissandra into LeBlanc. I like it.
Yeah, get the little counter pick in for yourself after the first phase is just about to end. You very much appreciate that from Immortal Academy. Just feels like they've been brought back to life, right? And these drafts are kind of indicative of that. They're pulling pieces from prior games. They're pulling pieces that looked good for them and then adding some spice to it, adding some different things to really make it stick onto these kinds of compositions, and especially against 100 Thieves. The Volley Bear is the ban for the first phase kickoff of Immortals Academy, something that Envy has been able to pull off very heavily, as well as Tenacity in the past.
Yeah, and Tenacity picking the Volley Bear is a really big deal for right now, because Immortals could potentially be looking at locking in Renekton. It would provide them with a lot more crowd control up in that top side, and now 100 Thieves do have to consider what would happen if Immortals do lock this in. Is it bad enough where 100 Thieves do have to ban it away because their signature counterpick into it, in Tenacity's Volley Bear, is gone? For 100 Thieves, the other thing they have to deal with is now this big amount of crowd control from Lissandra. This is something that Immortals haven't actually had a lot of in their competitions outside of Joey, but now they do have some follow-up of the crowd control that they can provide from the mid lane.
Yeah, a good amount of crowd control coming from one source as well. I do wonder if they opted some more there just to back it up. Obviously, Joey probably looking for a little bit of an engaged tool for himself. But this is so interesting to me because we're going back to what the desk was talking about and what Joshi was saying is like, is this a regression back to a previous style that worked so well for them? Is Pretty the shot caller now? Are we seeing those kinds of changes unfold on the Lissandra with a lot of lockdown, a lot of engaged potential? Maybe that also comes through. We'll see though, as Boom's Braum, or Boom's champion pool in general is banned away, but we get the Braum as well in there just on top. The Olaf was the final ban by Immortals Academy, so this is where I turn my attention to at least the side of Immortals Academy for this fourth pick, because you have potential to set up for that counter pick.
100 Thieves Academy intentionally leaving up the Tom Kench and the Renekton, so Immortals, they have the opportunity to go for both of those picks now. They will go for Tom Kench yet again. Can go to Joey. The top lane is still available, though, if Viper wants to pick this one up yet again. So they are saving that flex pick for later. I like that option quite a bit. I do still think the Tom Kench is a little stronger in top lane, but just that flex opportunity, it makes him a very unique support to have. So I like that a lot. And look at this. 100 Thieves, they're gnawing away the Renekton for Immortals. They can't go for that, knowing the Volley Bear is off.
And they banded away on the red side decent amount of times here, so at least getting that one. Now you also have this potential, which would be super. I know Rafa's probably screaming his head off right now, but you have that combo. Yeah, you have that combo of the Nidalee Renekton that's just so deadly. If you can connect those abilities right, you get that strength there. But it's gonna be the skirmish potential. It's gonna be the Graves coming in for Envy.
Graves is a really interesting pick in the meta right now, Lennon, because he did just get a nice buff to his base AD. He is a little bit stronger in the early game, and we're seeing a lot of people build him with a lot of lethality recently. So for Kenvi, it's going to be up to him to actually get that build online, and to me, Graves, yes, he does have some great scaling because he is that marksman, but to me, this champion is a lot more built around the early game. Because the difference between a Graves that is doing nothing and just scaling the entire game, and a Graves that is one-shotting everyone and actually going for aggressive trades and taking the enemy team's jungle, is just so gigantic. So the early game is so important for these junglers now that Kenvi has dropped the gauntlet and taken Graves into Lee Sin.
Yeah, I think that's something else I wanted to go into, is that this is a lot of Lee Sin gameplay from Anda, and it's been impressive. Like, every game he's been able to find things for his team to set up the rest of the pieces, right? And especially in that last game, Kenvi was like one of the sole pieces that was strong for 100 Thieves Academy, and it just seemed like Anda was able to get the better of him time and time again. So going into this, you still have a lot of the comfort that's been being built up by Immortals Academy, and that's where you can kind of favor that side of it. But the Jace is coming back through for the 4th game for Viper.
And Viper, in all of these games, has gotten solo kills.
Yes.
All 3 of them so far. 2 of them on Tenacity and 1 of them on Ryoma. We'll see if he can go for the 4-peat. That would be pretty impressive of him to do. He's back on Jace. He performed very, very well on the Jace, even in the losing positions for Immortals. They did lose both the games where he was on this, but it still looked very good for him specifically. And again, I like this setup for Immortals because they do have more crowd control than just Joey. Pretty can follow up, and they can more easily access picks with that, not to mention the Gravitum that Keith can provide late game too. So
Yeah.
I like this setup quite a bit more for Immortals Academy.
Well, here we are, game number 4, kicking off now. 100 Thieves Academy want to close it out here, but Immortals want the reverse sweep in style. Here we go, game number 4. Immortals starting out with some cheeky gameplay.
That they are. Tenacity isn't anywhere close right now, but eventually he will have to move somewhere. And if he does choose to move up, then that's where Immortals will be. Oh, they revealed their hand very soon, though. That was a really early revelation, I'd say. I think Immortals could have waited there a little bit longer.
It looks like they're gonna just pull the trigger a little early, though. Just wanted to see if maybe Tenacity was caught napping going into 4 games. It's a long day, Smacks, but no, they will not. Tenacity is reared up and ready to go. It is the top lane Renekton this time around. I do want to see how much influence we see from that Renekton. First time being picked up in this series as well.
Absolutely. Tenacity on this pick usually is the one who's killing the Renekton on his side, but we'll get to see what he can do on this side of the matchup. He does have the Doran Shield trying to play defensively against the poke champion Viper, who again, him alongside the marksman are going for this longsword 3-pot start. Something that I didn't mention before with it is the aspect of the regeneration. You get 2 extra potions when you go for this build, so you can take more trades and you can be more aggressive with your own health bar.
It is a crucial part, because we've seen that these early laning phases have actually been pretty influential in how we see the skirmishes laying out around the first dragon and things along those lines. But every game has been very one-sided in those dragon takes. So it's like whoever gets that early pressure, whoever gets that early priority, just snowballs the dragons away. And I wonder how impactful that is going to be here in this 4th game. I would think that we're still looking at when Kenvi can get involved and where their involvement is going to be.
This creative jungle clear from Kenvi too. He's gone buff to buff into Gromp, trying to hit level 3 as fast as possible. He has the option to go and clear all of his small camps afterward, or he can go and try to punish Viper, who is pushing up right now. He's angling toward just going straight to Wolves, which is completely fine to do on Graves. You still want to farm. Eve using both summoners.
Yeah, that was an instant double summoner spell burn by Keith, and Couple thumbs up from the 100 Thieves members, gonna justify that engage as they are keeping the pressure up.
Yeah, just Boom saying, hey, nice job. We got the summoner spells. Envy, start clearing bot side. We know you're top there, but you can come on down. Keith is very vulnerable. The water's fine.
Yeah, the water's fine. And now Kenvy's looking for mid though. Pretty gets a decent amount of damage down on Ryoma, but he's going to his jungler here. Now you got the backup from Anda, and Ryoma being influenced here as well. Kenvy and Anda just back and forth over this mid lane here early on.
Excellent read there from Kenvy, not continuing the play even though Pretty was so low, knowing that where could Pretty possibly go if not to his turret? Oh yeah, there's a Lee Sin right there, obviously. So he backs away and makes sure to not overextend, but forces Pretty's flash all the same, so very favorable play for the 100 Thieves mid-jungle duo, and that pressure is going to keep stacking up. And this is really good news for Kenvy on the Graves, because just like I was saying before, if you have the snowball on this champion, it becomes so oppressive so fast.
Viper does burn the flash there, trying to potentially get Tenacity caught out, but we'll just use it as Anda was right here just in case things went awry, but nothing gonna happen. Viper gives a couple thumbs up and the backs get completed. He's gonna be back after he got that back off, or as both of them, I think should. Viper may just gonna choose to get the TP advantage here, walking to top lane.
That flash from Viper may have looked a little bit silly. It's mostly because it was, but it also does mean that he gets to deny that wave from Tenacity, forcing him off the wave, and Anda is there. So while Viper doesn't have his flash now, it is still some sort of denial against the 100 Thieves. Again, very valuable, especially for Jace. And for Viper, too, he wants to keep the snowball going. He hasn't had a lot of pressure in his own lane throughout the series, but
look at this.
It's a good time to start.
This is it. This is Anda having moved away from the lane, and Kenvy is here first. He waited. He saw Anda was on the ward, and they saw that he was walking back to his jungle, so Kenvy just takes that opportunity to punish him, and they got first blood bot lane for 100 Thieves. That's huge. Oh my god, Ryoma? Is he gonna get him? One more hit, the electrocute doesn't do it.
Oh, Lissandra champion, pretty durable with the extra potions. Ryoma flashing
bot
forward.
lane though. Anda's coming back for the revenge, as that's maybe a kill going over. Yep, it's gonna be given over to Anda as well. Immortals Academy respond with their own.
Right, so kills in the bot side for both junglers. Trying to get that lane ahead. It was a little bit easier for 100 Thieves Academy though, because Keith did use both of his summoner spells in the isolated 2v2. So 100 Thieves make that first move knowing that it would be safe. And for Joey too, he is playing the new Tahm Kench. He does not have access to Devour until level 6, so there's no way for him to save Keith's life. Nice play from 100. You stick around. You give over that kill by Poom, and makes his way down.
And what's unfortunate here is like Poom and Luger go for this engage. Literally, Kenvy just finished back. Like he like it was so close as he goes in for that engagement. So just a bit unfortunate, maybe a little miscommunication coming through.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where if I'm the support, I'm like, oh wait, my jungler recalled, and then he's like, yeah, of course I recalled. What else are we even doing there? You're dumb. I'm like, yeah, I am dumb.
No, you're not, Smacks. No, you're not. As I think you're a very smart individual myself.
The play is a different story, I think, and I'm sure
True.
Poom realizes that, does fall down, and equalizes that gold. So, donating one over to Immortal.
Yeah. Now we have about 2 minutes since the first dragon of the game has spawned. It's an ocean dragon. I would have liked to see a little bit more vision priority put around that area, especially with how much influence we have from the junglers towards bot lane. But the objective is still on the table, and Ryoma is looking to take priority in mid lane here, as he has done just that. Kenby's here with the collateral damage. Is it enough? No! It's not. Pretty goes golden, or actually takes the frozen tomb. There's collateral damage. He was waiting all day long for that one.
Yeah, nice bait out of the ultimate, knowing that he still had enough damage. And Ryoma on the LeBlanc. Mechanics just in lane alone. Oh, it's been such a treat to watch, Lennon. This is a masterclass on LeBlanc gameplay. I'm loving what I'm seeing from him. And it's into a counter matchup, too. He has to play on the outskirts of the crowd control from Pretty. Otherwise, he will just get snared up.
Look at this.
Never know when Anda's going to be there.
This time around, oh, I thought Kenvi was gonna go for it. I was like, maybe he's gonna give Anda a little bit of his own medicine. But he actually opts out of it, goes for the Krug after taking the Scuttle Crab. Now Anda is back towards bot lane.
Break is up. 3 minutes since that has spawned. Neither team is feeling confident enough to take it with their advantages in the bottom lane. Can't blame them. They are still trading back and forth. Keith, despite dying for first blood, has a pretty big lead over Luger in the CS department. And
He's here. They got the engage
burn
on
that.
Keith. He burned the cleanse, but is it enough? No, it is not. Kenvi gets a killing spree now. 3-0 on the Graves as this pick is shining for 100 Thieves Academy. Now we're getting the potential 1v1 on top. That is Viper. Gonna go for a 4th solo bolo here. I don't know. Tenacity's got flash. He's got distance, and he's gonna get away.
A solo kill for Viper yet. We don't want to rule out the possibility of the entire game, but not this time. We're seeing, though, that Joey playing this Tahm Kench, it's not a selfless support as it once was. It is an engaged champion. You can't do anything to save your Aphelios, and while Keith is this very immobile champion, even after the summoner spells are used, he still goes down. So we're seeing the downside of picking this Tahm Kench support.
Oh no, Pretty. He doesn't have the claw to get away. You got Kenvi coming too. He doesn't have collateral damage. It's almost up, but if he did, that was so close to another kill for 100 Thieves.
I do not want to play LeBlanc against Ryoma. This does not look very fun
Just
at all.
after Pretty just dominated on the champion last game.
Yeah, this is crazy. We thought Pretty was good at LeBlanc. Oh my.
He's like,
Ryoma.
you know, Ryoma's sitting over there like, oh, yeah, you were pretty good on LeBlanc. How about I take it into a counter matchup? Let's see what happens.
To be fair, Pretty was also playing it into a counter matchup.
He was.
So we don't want to take away credit from Pretty, but rather give it to Ryoma.
Ooh,
This might be time.
This is gonna be close. Solo Polo, 4th game in a row. Go ahead and count up the tallies. Viper with the solo.
All of Wendy's right there, Lennon. That's a 4 for 4. Every single game with the solo kills on Viper. This guy is popping off. And again, the rest of this team for Immortals Academy, they're not giving him those resources in any of these games like they usually do. He's doing this all by himself. Every single game, solo kills. Not getting these resources, just playing on the island and playing it so well.
Looking mighty fine from the top laner of Immortals Academy. Viper is online, and they need to facilitate that. Now we see both teams hanging around the Dragon Pit. See 100 Thieves actually make it there first. Do they just go ahead and start up? Looks like Kenvi has, and the back was completed by Anda. So this will be another objective to 100 Thieves, as they were able to capitalize on the movement around the map, take that Rift Road, and now bring out the second.
Now Mazel. If history repeats itself, this means that 100 Thieves get the full soul. 4 out of the 4 dragons.
It's going to be Cloud Soul this time around, I bet. We're not going to have the mountain, the ocean, the infernal. The 4th game has to be the 4th one, right? Pretty. It's a nice little frozen tomb there onto Ryoma. We were hyping this man up about his plays on the LeBlanc, and they are deserved here as he's able to get away from the engage of Immortals Academy. Now bot lane. This is the response from 100 Thieves. Kenvi with the sniper shot of the collateral damage. And Joey goes down for the first time of the game. Do they get Keith to flash stun? Boom, sacrificing himself. No, the plays are too good, and 100 Thieves want to take home this series.
Immaculate dive for 100 Thieves gets them both kills and the full turret because Kenvi took down that Rift Herald earlier. Oh, this is starting to become a gigantic lead for 100 Thieves. They might even get another charge off with the Rift Herald. Luger has to be careful, though. Can't stick around. Joey and Keith have very short death timers, and there is going to be a trade of at least a few turret platings up top. Immortals get some gold back into their carry's hands in Viper, but Keith and Joey really struggling in this lane all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's crazy after we saw them in last game performing so
Look
well.
Look at Kenvi's scoreline, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. I was just about to say, the difference maker right now is this Graves. He has been all over the place, and he has been constantly finding kills.
He's taken every single one. And this comes back to what I was mentioning in the draft, Lennon. If you have this Graves, and he's just sitting back, farming to 6, farming to 9, getting like, wait, guys, I just need my other item. I'm playing Graves. I'm a marksman. No, that's not what Graves is about.
Oh my
Graves
God,
is about
Pooh.
getting under these turrets, getting all the kills, taking all the jungle camps, and snowballing the game. He is an early game champion in the late game champion's clothes.
Yeah, it's very impressive as, you know, a champion that's been known to have strength all along the board. Now it's this early game prowess that we're seeing, and the Gale Force completed just adds to that for the Graves here. I love the little cheeky collateral damages, because without those kills, this lead is so much different, right? Without that sniper shot against Joey there, that's one less kill, that's a little bit less gold, that's a little bit less pressure bot lane. But now we're seeing the adaptations here. We're seeing the changes of lane assignments as the bot lane for 100 Thieves has moved to the top side of the map.
See if they can find another dive. It's Keith and Joey again.
Anda's here.
Though, he's being sneaky. He's waiting for his time to strike. He knows this dive is coming. Can he avoid it?
Chains of Corruption goes wide. Ryoma is here. He goes for some damage onto Joey. Anda's moving up now into the control warded bush. Does look like 100 Thieves realize that they've used a couple of their tools. They're not going to commit.
And a Corruption missing might have been good for 100 Thieves, knowing that what we know as the spectators, knowing that Anda was there. Yeah, but for 100 Thieves, they're going to feel a little bit bummed out. They didn't find that pick, but still, they are snowballing. They still have this really big advantage. And we were talking about how it's a lot been around Kenvi. We can't leave Ryoma out of this.
No, we
either.
can't.
The pressure that he's had in this lane and the capability of roaming around too has been so top-notch. And it's so freeing to have that as a jungler, knowing that your mid laner is pressuring the enemy and will just, by being anywhere, put fear in their eyes and just... You can't be near this man. He will kill you with this LeBlanc.
Yeah, it's been so impressive to watch him dip diving and ducking under everything here that Pretty and Co has been sending his way. But something else that I find interesting here is this bot lane scoreline, right? You have an Eclipse completed by Luger. That's surely off of, you know, the assists that they've gotten, as he hasn't gotten a single kill, as well as the CS advantage. And I think it's both ADCs on their mythic item spike right now, but this Varus is really interesting to me because you haven't gotten a deficit necessarily for him. I want to see what the influence is in the team fights, because we've seen Keith putting down numbers in these team fights, and this Varus being able to finally come through in this series for the first time needs to have a good performance.
You're highlighting one of my favorite things about 100 Thieves Academy is, wait, Anda might be in some trouble. I think he's going to be out. Oh, Ryoma doesn't have W now.
Can be? Oh my god, if that was a little bit to the right, that was a kill. That was it.
It was. He's got lethality and the full mythic item. That would have been a kill, but just barely to the left. But as I was saying, you're mentioning things that are just so important for how 100 Thieves Academy have played all throughout this year. Because they have all these different players that can carry. Oh.
Boom's just caught out here. Multiple ultimates used, and Viper is going to get his second kill of the game. Immortals are able to get something off the back of that, and now could take their first dragon.
The crowd control, like I was saying, Joey and Pretty, they can combine forces and get the picks for themselves. It's not like the previous games where Joey is completely left out to dry. He has to go and buy himself on Leona or Gragas. Not this game. He has Pretty to back him up. So while Immortals are still struggling, they can find picks like this, and they can do it reliably.
We see the cross-map play here. This is something I've been wanting to see all series long, and this game finally feels like teams are comfortable enough to take those cross-map plays. We get the Rift Herald picked up by Kenvi by himself as the dragon was going down to Immortals Academy. But also, the top outer turret goes down.
Not even needing the Rift Herald to do it either. They can save that for mid eventually.
Oh no. You were lauding him. Maybe you caster cursed him as Ryoma getting chased down by Anda. Does
Nice
dodge
dodge.
out of it. Nicely done. The little sidestep. Getting a ton of damage on Joey here as the rest of 100 Thieves are trying to run away from the catfish. You do have Ryoma ended up back on the other side of the pit because you had Viper coming in with the Jace. He's just outplaying right now, and he flashes. Oh my god, he's just madman in it right now. Viper is going to be gifted that kill, but not after a ton of time was spent.
He almost juked our producers right there with the movement on the distortion, but does go down in the end. But again, Kenvi saved the Rift Herald. They're going to get these turrets. They're going to get these charges down. It's going to be a second one in mid. That's 5 turrets now for 100 Thieves, snowballing their lead in ways that we've typically seen Immortals do in this series. Immortals have been the team that have just been on top of all of these objectives.
Oh, look at
on
this.
Right now.
He's
We can
going for the...
teleport out.
Oh, yes, there it is. Pretty's out. He's gone. You ain't gonna find him today, Tenacity.
It's a trade. I think Tenacity realizes it now. All right, let's watch this again. I want to know how Ryoma gets back into the situation, because he was out, was he not?
Yeah, I thought so, but I think it's the Jace cutoff here. Yeah, the TP behind. That's what I was thinking, because I saw Viper behind him, and I was like, wait, how did that happen? So he commits and goes all the way over here, but dodges out of the accelerated shock blast.
Wait, Prit doesn't even realize it
He
initially.
doesn't.
Viper has to be like, turn around, man! There's a LeBlanc!
I love that Viper at this point had started backing. He's like, you guys got him. And then ends up having to stop his back just to make sure he cleans up the kill.
Alright, I almost giving him the runaround, but he gets killed eventually. That's so funny. You can see now, though, Viper 3-0 on this Jace. Has these 2 items completed. Will have the full Manamune as it upgrades mana eventually. And this is a ton of damage that we're going to see from this Jace, just like we've seen in the last couple of games. Boom, just kind of trolling him a little bit with the last code.
He's just having some fun. He's gaming as supports game, right? Like he's got to find those moments where you can have a little bit of fun with it. We are getting to...
I know it.
Yeah, right. We are getting to 2 item spikes here, 400 Thieves, and slowly but surely coming across for the entirety of Immortals Academy. I don't necessarily think this is the moment where you can turn on. I'm really waiting for that 3 item spike from 100 Thieves where they feel confident to take the team fights potentially. But I'm still waiting. You know, we have a little bit until this next dragon comes up, but it's the setup around these objectives that I want to see, and that I feel like is so important for 100 Thieves Academy.
We've seen 100 Thieves have the most success in this series with the team fights, but truthfully, Mazel, I'm not sure if that's what they want to do in this game. I feel like the skirmishes are still very important for them, especially with this LeBlanc who's doing very well. So, while I do still have faith in them in the team fights, I think they still need to get a little bit more ahead in order to actually do that successfully, because they're still in Aphelios. There's still Lissandra you have to deal with. If those champions start popping off in team fights, it's not going to be great. No pun intended.
I think the pun was intended. Can we get
No,
a
it
little
wasn't. I promise.
Can we get a little bit of damage done to him there by Viper, but still getting the invade off on the bot side of the jungle. This sets up exactly what I wanted. You get the backs coming through. I'm sure that the reposition is going to come out. The redeploy, rather, is going to come out towards the bot side for this dragon coming up.
This is the first time that we've had Drake splits.
Oh.
Rama still has his ult. He's got the Yumi sandwich, you know.
Yeah, we know. Ando is up here as well, just in case. Maybe there was something that was going to happen. But this is interesting to me as well, because Immortals are bringing all their bodies up towards top side of the map, and maybe we don't get that influence of the dragon this early, or at least this quickly, right? You're still getting tons of skirmishing on the top side of the map around this Baron pit for both teams.
Still just so much pick threat for both teams. Like you're saying, the ultimates of the 100 Thieves Academy bot lane, if you get hit by that, you're probably dead.
Yeah.
And as you can see from the Jace shock blast that just hit Luger and Poom, if you get hit by crowd control on 100 Thieves side, you're probably dead too, because you're going to get hit by all the stuff that Jace throws at you. So
Honestly, at this point, it's just who
tricky
gets
for both
exploded
teams.
first.
Exactly. The fights are not going to be very long in this game, I don't think.
I think it's a very interesting take on like this moment in the game. We're 22 minutes in. It's been a lot calmer, I feel like, than other games far. We're at 9 kills in. 100 Thieves just took their second dragon of the game, the first of the Infernal Soul, which I do think, just like last game, will be super important for both these teams as we get further on.
The Rake game is important. It's not going to be a Cloud Soul like you were predicting that it would be. Yeah, I guess your prediction game is just completely weak. It's definitely not just a point for you should have known that it was going to be Infernal. We're going to get some explosive dragons, I feel. Not the third one, though. 100 Thieves just took that one completely unharmed. And, I mean, you can see why. The members of Immortals are very scared to go into any place that they can't fully see And because of this Varus, that they did intentionally leave up. They've been banning it the entire series long. This game, they left it up on purpose.
Oh, they're getting a lot of damage on a Pretty, though. Oh, Tenacity was right there. Kenvy's here as well. Collateral! Again! 6-0 for the jungler of 100 Thieves!
Pretty just got collected this time, too. That's a full lethality item for Kenvy. He's getting the burst down. We're seeing it happen live on our screens. Live in action, 100 Thieves are trying to get the full 3-1 and qualify for semis.
Oh my god,
You get to see some fancy moves from Ryoma.
Wow. Great minds think alike, Smacks. We both said wow at the same time, because that was honestly super impressive. We're gonna get the follow-up that ends up leading this top lane craziness. But still, off the back of that one, for Immortals again, you always need to be careful of Kenby. He is the one with all of the resources right now, and you see it with every single shotgun shell.
And that was close. The Gale Force putting in work too. Oh, well, everyone on Immortals has to be careful, and it's a really big problem with these builds too, because you're against double lethality marksman and LeBlanc. So ideally, you want to be stacking both armor and magic resistance to deal with both of them, but nobody on Immortals is really a tank. The Tom Kench isn't going to have enough economy to buy any tank items at this point. He's already 24 minutes in the game. He only has one item, as is customary for supports, but it's good to point out because nobody else is even going to have to think about that because they're not tanks. The best you're going to get is a Sterx Gauge from Anda and a Zhonya's from Pretty. Nobody else is going to be building these items, so the threat of getting bursted down from Ryoma and Kenvy and Luger is ever present.
Exactly. I wanted to highlight on that last bit because this Varus, although having only 4 assists and been a little bit quiet in this game, although this game has just been quiet in general seemingly, it's still this strong pick that gets very, very scary as that lethality continues to build. And so on the other side of it, you got the shield bow, you got a little bit more of a AoE at least coming out from Keith on the FLS. We saw the super crucial last game, but we'll have to see if that works out here. The thing, the sticking, but yeah, I like the little shout out there. Thank you, Observer Team. But the big thing is when it all comes together for me for Immortals. Like, we've seen these split fights, we've seen what the CC can do, but then in these moments like we just saw where the communication may be a little bit split, Pretty's a little bit separated, that CC chain isn't there, Immortals can capitalize.
Really can. We've already seen it happen once in this game, but Immortals have not been on the front foot for the rest of it. They haven't been able to bring up the confidence to attempt it again. The shock blast will get me every time, I think. Especially with the emote game. The
emote game in this series has been on point, dude. Like, I'm loving it. You see the, like, personalities coming out on the Rift because of it.
It's like the Wii Sports announcer just, nice spare. Like, nice shock blast. Thumbs up.
I think we need to incorporate that at some point. Mid lane tower, outer tower of 100 Thieves is the focus by Immortals Academy, but you gotta expect time's coming around for a dragon again. They gotta start getting set up, and Anda is just caught out. There's the CC chain. You thought you had it on Immortals, but it's all 100 Thieves. The Devourer comes out as well as the Abyssal Dive, gets Keith out of trouble, but 100 Thieves find a pick on the jungler right before the dragon spawn.
And a had flash, had W, but the crowd control is immense from Boom. Not even needing the chains of corruption either. This is so free now. 400 Thieves, they still have all their pick tools. They still have everything except for that solar flare for Boom. So they can aggress upon every single aspect of this map and let Envy do their dirty work.
Look how quick he does it.
Yeah,
Jesus.
this is so quick. And honestly, you know,
a shot.
You can see the rage in Kenvy's eyes. You're like, I gotta kill this dragon. Luger just took my kill. It was my perfect game.
Not about the kill that you took earlier on the collateral damage under the tower against Joey. Nah, that was all his. Speaking from an ADC standpoint, but it's still very impressive how 100 Thieves are able to keep the pressure on, right? I think one thing that stood out to me is, like, we haven't necessarily been getting the cross-map plays. This game we finally did, but it's 100 Thieves knowing where Immortals is for the most part and finding ways to take little things back, right? And now they've gained themselves like a 3,000-4,000 gold lead here off the back of Kenvy's insane performance on the Graves, but in general, the entire team showing up in this fourth game.
feel like 100 Thieves now knowing that they have this way that they can play around the Drake and do the same thing to the Baron. Knowing that Immortals are really struggling to answer any way of getting into this pit, 100 Thieves, they can even use that and maybe just end the game before they even get the soul, honestly, because as long as you lock down that Baron, as long as you start taking down these inhibitors, you can just end the game outright.
They're doing it.
Thieves, yeah, exactly. They can just go straight for this. They know that it's going to be really difficult for Immortals to get in.
It's spotted out. Ryoma on the flank here, all by his lonesome. Maybe 100 Thieves pull off the Baron. They do. Gonna take the opt-out fight here. They know that Pretty has to respond to the top lane. He has TP to join the fight, though. And 100 Thieves going back towards mid lane to set up that priority. Oh, they got
gets in range.
They don't have the follow-up. The solar flare comes out just a little bit onto Joey. Now Boom may be in some trouble. Can't really get away from Viper, who's 3-0 himself, doing some serious damage. Now Tenacity.
Look at Ryoma.
Yeah, I was gonna say Ryoma on the side is pretty nuts, but you can't buy them. They're turtle up right now for IMT. They got the shell on and everything. You might think it's a catfish, but nah, it's a turtle.
Kind of looks turtle-like with that skin. I think he's supposed to look like a manatee, but
I think so as well. But you know,
Some
we'll stick
sea
with
creature.
turtle this time around.
yeah, just no shell. He's a naked turtle, unfortunately.
The wild shellless turtle of Runeterra. You know, it's a very rare species.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the home on or the over-the-hedge turtle.
Okay, well that one too. We have Baron already going though, and it's down to 5,000 health. The shock rooms are doing so much work right now. Ryoma, Tenacity, the rest of 100 Thieves are here. Baron goes to Anda. The over-the-wall catch though. Ryoma is caught out himself.
Wow.
And that's huge. Immortals find what they were looking for.
Mazel, that's massive. Immortals, they get a pick and they get this Baron. I don't even know how they managed to do this. I don't think 100 Thieves know either, as they just back away, feeling confident. They were like, oh yeah, Immortals, they're going to lose. We're already going to win. It's okay. Let's just go for a recall, get strong. They got Baron.
Oh, the Baron's gone.
Oh.
Oh man.
And they killed our mid laner too. Well, this has got a little bit more difficult, guys. We got to focus.
You do have third item hit by Kenby though, and you saw how much damage he was doing to that red buff. It's going to be even worse when you're pelting into champions here, but the big thing for me is that, you know, 100 Thieves caught a little bit off guard. This is a big momentum swing. You may still be in a deficit, but it's only about 1,000 now, and with the Baron buffs, you have lanes pushing. You can utilize this very well.
Immortals still down a bit though. They might just use this Baron to keep their base alive. They are already getting this bot side turret pushing in. We'll see if they can actually get the full inner. They're definitely positioning to do that, but they have to worry about their top side and their mid lane, really, because you can see Kenvi is already... He knows. They're committing bot side. Let's just push in this mid lane and punish them for doing so.
Anda's kind of trying to play the in-between, just making sure that things don't go down. You see the vision is very strong on the bot side of the map right now for Immortals. They can see anything that's coming to them. Is it going to be too little too late as they're taking the inhib here? Is it going to be too late? You see Pretty and Joey are positioning off to kind of buffer this engage from 100 Thieves. They are looking for it. Kenby's here as well.
Wow.
Pretty goes in. You got a lot of damage to deal with Kenby. Watch Kenby on the side. You have to be careful of this Graves. Big double stun from the solar flare. Look on the back though. They've already found Viper, and that's huge. Can they get the rest of them? Kenby is just playing an outer role here, but he's coming in now. Big Dragon Rage kick. Big damage from the effigy,
God!
but it's not enough. The Abyssal Dive gets stopped.
Canceled it!
It's huge. It's an ace, and that's 100 Thieves.
The mechanical outplays from 100 Thieves reign supreme again. They're teleporting mid, Mazel. They might just end the series right now. Ryoma has this minion wave. They're pushing it in. You might want to do it a little bit slower so his team can actually get here, or they can just get this and play it a little bit safe, but oh my word, Mazel.
That's
100
Infernal
Thieves.
Soul.
Yeah. They're going to be able to get this. I don't think they actually do end the game right now. Okay, I was getting a little ahead of myself. Ryoma teleporting in, baiting me, but that is Infernal. Okay, Mazel. I love the defensive positioning here for Immortals, and then they dive in aggressively.
Exactly.
They show their hand way too early. Now they don't have access to their movement on the front line, and they leave Viper out to dry too, so he gets instantly jumped on. Immortals, I loved the initial play. I love the side lane. It's amazing. It's so funny. But it was a really good spot for Immortals to be in. They just needed to walk away or play defense so that they don't give up everything that they built on this split push.
Oh, that abyssal dive gets canceled from the stun of Tenacity is huge.
Yeah.
Also, I'm just gonna call it right now. Kenby is one confident son of a gun. He's flashed in there with sub 100 health on the Graves, but they are snowballing off the back of that win. They have Infernal Soul, and the burst potential right now is unstoppable.
Absolutely is. They're going to be able to take this top side. Look at the way that Ryoma is pressuring this. Immortals has to back away under fire from the LeBlanc. Even that claw is used just to try to do something. Turret's already dead. That's 7 of them now for 100 Thieves. They already got that inhibitor turret in the mid lane. So Ryoma can go for plays like this, not worrying about turret shots.
God.
Ooh, the poke.
The piercing arrow on the side. Oh no, Chains of Corruption. He gets gobbled up. Joey, is he gonna get out alive? They're frying up some catfish tonight for 100 Thieves. Papa Smithy's buying. Can Joey go down? He's gonna get solar flared. He is gonna go down. Luger on a rampage right now. This could be it though. The turnaround from Immortals.
Ooh.
No, it's not gonna happen. It's all said and done. You have as much as you can give from Immortals Academy, but it's just not enough. Pretty will take one more kill, but Kenby is just waiting. The Grim Reaper is here, and it's got the 100 Thieves logo on top of it. They're looking to end the game right now, Smacks. This is an ace, this is a completion, and this is 100 Thieves Academy knocking Immortals Academy out of the Academy playoffs.
They're doing it in style right now. They're padding the game time, waiting for the enemies to spawn, getting more damage numbers on them, more Infernal Soul procs, but there's the Nexus nonetheless. Well played for Immortals Academy. But 100 Thieves, they shut down the reverse sweep, and they take the 3-1 victory.
I can't. Man, Kenby on the Graves just never let up, dude. Like, he was 6-0, now he's 10-0 on the end. Like, my goodness, this collateral damage, just the team play coming out is insane from 100 Thieves. This is a team you have to be frightened for as we're going further into the playoffs. And they showed so much versatility today across the board. And yes, they went down in game number 3, but it was merely a stumble. They immediately took up game number 4. And on the other side of it, I have to give such big props to Immortals Academy. They went down heavy early on, and to come back in game number 3 like they did and show us the Immortals Academy that we know and love, the team that has had that top lane dominance, that has had Anda just finding advantages and taking it home over and over again. We got to see a little glimpse of that, even though it was short-lived.
I mean, Viper solo killed
4 games in a row!
Every single game of this series, at least one solo kill in all of them. If that's not a top-notch performance, then I don't know what is. But the team play that 100 Thieves Academy showed us in the fights, in the nitty-gritty moments, in the moments that just one misplay will just ruin everything. They find consistency in those moments. And 100 Thieves Academy, such an exciting team to watch. They'll continue on in the playoffs. They'll make it to that semis. And fortunately for Immortals, this does mean that they are.
And it's a bit unfortunate aspect. I want to highlight something for me that stood out Kenby on this game. And I know you probably a lot you want to talk about for Kenby on this game. Right? There's a lot of highlight moments. I hope they got the highlight reel ready. But it's more so that last big fight towards the bot side where Immortals kind of took that fight. And you were talking about how they were positioned so well defensively to get away from that fight. But then they opted into the engage. During that entire time, Kenby is like 6-0, 7-0, whatever it is. He's playing on the backside because he knows if he shows his face, he is the target. He is the CC destination. And he just plays it on the side and follows it up afterwards with the flash forward at 100 health. Like, the dude was able to play that last fight so crazily, being that mainstay carry for the team. And I think that showed a lot to me of that strength that 100 Thieves can bring.
It was a really interesting moment where whoever made the first move ended up getting punished and ended up overextending in that last game. That wasn't really true of the games prior, where being the aggressor, being the one opening the fight off, was the reason that you'd win out and you'd have the crowd control down. But yeah, just like you're saying, that last fight, Immortals, they just dove in well beyond their limit, And it showed everything that they could possibly do. They tried everything that they could to get one person picked out, even though their positioning was already so strong. They just dove past that front line, past the shield line that they had held together so well, and they got so punished for it. And a lot of credit to 100 Thieves for taking that pounce to do it, and having the wherewithal to push the mid lane while it was going on too, even though they were against that Baron team. They could have lost that base race, but playing all of their cards so well. I loved that last exchange for 100 Thieves Academy, and it does net them that way.
Yeah, the thing for me is, like, in those last moments, right, 100 Thieves get that nice haymaker on Immortals Academy to finish out that fight in the bot side. But as Immortals are like spinning and falling to the ground, they just come in with another hit, and it's unstoppable from them. They just can't, like, when you're at a lead like that and you have that confidence advantage plus the gold advantage, it's almost impossible to come back from a momentum swing like that. And I think it's very telling on how 100 Thieves can play. But that's something else I want to dive into here, because going into the day, we were talking to the analyst desk, we were hearing from the analyst desk, this wasn't necessarily the type of composition, the type of style that we've known and loved from 100 Thieves Academy, but they executed so beautifully in game 1 and 2 with those more team fight compositions, that more team fight style for them, and then to show up with these individual plays as the series went on, that just shows a lot of growth and heart from the team.
Trying a lot of new things on stage and showing instant success with it just tells us all that they have been doing such amazing prep work behind the scenes this past week, and it's really paying off exactly when it needs to for 100 Thieves. And one of the things I just love so much about this team is that they're kind of like a boy band, you know? Every single one of these players has their moments in the song where they have their solo and they're like just popping off in the song, they're just going crazy, and everyone else for that and just step back and be background dancers. That last game, it was Kenvi on the Graves who was the lead vocalist. Everyone else was like, hey, we're supporting him. We're going to sing the harmony. And it all just is so beautiful for this team. I really love and appreciate that about these guys. All of them have that carry potential, and it makes playing against this team so difficult. You can try to put one spot behind. You can try to have a one-note style. But then, if you attack one lane too much, the other side of the map is going to come in clutch, and they will be the new carries that you have to keep watch of. So, this is just making 100 Thieves one of the most competitive and one of the most daunting teams to play up against as the bracket continues the next couple of weeks.
Which is so crazy to me, right? We've been through this entire Academy Summer split. We've seen dominance from this team throughout. They were one of the top teams in the split, and then faltering at the last little bit, losing their bye. But to come out like this, like, honestly, I feel like this is a blessing for 100 Thieves Academy. Yeah. They've gotten a confidence win, a motivational win over Immortals Academy, and they can springboard that into a finals run.
They tried so many different styles, too.
So many first times on the stage. Like, it's crazy. For the first 3 games in a row, we had like 2 or 3 plus.
And when you get into playing against them in the next matches, you see all these different styles that they played, and you're like, what do we even prep for? They just played 3 different comps and won with all of them. It was amazing.
It absolutely was. Well, that is it from the caster desk for the evening. We're going to go ahead and send it over to those beautiful, beautiful analysts to break down that series, that 100 Thieves win.
Thank you so much, Mazel. We are back here. We're actually getting our interview ready with one of the lovely 100 Thieves members in just a few moments. We're just running into some tech issues, but while that is being taken care of, I'm joined here once again by Kangas and Josh, and we're actually going to look at some of the B-roll that we got for this final game series, because first of all, congratulations 100 Thieves for being able to advance to the semifinals, and really, it was off the back of Kenvi here, Josh.
It really was, and we were kind of missing some of the early kills that he was able to pick up. I was kind of expecting just like a montage of plays that this guy ended up getting, but he was still able to get the first 5 kills for his team with a double kill down in the bottom lane, and ultimately, it kind of felt like the Kenvi show in a lot of ways. Ryoma had a little bit of difficulties in this game. Luger and Poom did fine, but they weren't able to get the kills finalized themselves, and so that really just left his Graves running around, running from Krugs all the way top lane, where suddenly, the Sandra thought that they had a chance.
Yeah, going back to the conversation I had with Jensen before coach from Immortals, Jensen, before the game, is that they have been looking at the bot lane, specifically Luger and Poom as key carriers for the team. But he did cite that if they find a way to play through Kenvi, he can cause some problems for them in this series. And yeah, I think that we're starting to see why. Absolutely popping off on the Graves pick, 10-0-5 by the end on the way here now into the semifinals. And yeah, the casters highlighted it too. This is multiple different looks from 100 Thieves Academy, multiple different compositions, and different players on the team got to carry throughout the different games. They have the versatility that they did at the beginning of summer and that we felt kind of was missing by the end of the summer. So I'm really happy to see them actually find these adaptable play styles yet again.
And I'm always excited to see characters like the Graves kind of come back into vogue by different players, right? This isn't something that has been nearly as popular recently, though it has been seeing a little bit of play. It's something that Kenvi was able to bring out and honestly like pop off on. And just about everything else in this draft was fairly standard, except, you know, the Jay is a little bit less common. Lissandra really only comes out as a counterpick to the LeBlanc, but the Graves is one of these things that's a little bit less common and was still able to be piloted very successfully.
Yeah, Graves are very impressive. And I mean, it's just crazy to think that, like, going into this, I thought that we had seen what 100 Thieves Academy was becoming. That they were this kind of, like, one-dimensional team at the end of the summer. But I kind of am convinced now that, like, they were just holding their cards close to their chest. They were just not showing everybody else what they were working on. Maybe just getting, kicked into high gear by evil geniuses and LCS is what they needed to then realize, okay, so we got to try some different things out here. But obviously, Immortals did not look like they were prepared for this version of 100 Thieves Academy.
Yeah, and this is the end of the road for Immortals Academy for the playoff season, but we will still see Immortals Academy in the Proving Grounds tournament beginning in September. But for 100 Thieves Academy, their next opponents will be FlyQuest Academy starting next week. And if I am not mistaken, our interview with Kenvi should be ready to go. And first of all, Kenvi, how's it going, my man? Congratulations on the quarterfinal series going over your way. My first question to you, my friend, is what were your expectations against Immortals Academy going into the series, and how did they turn out to be at the end?
I'm kind of like excited because I kind of like wanna get my revenge against them, like last season, because Anda and Viper are on the same team, and I'm
Yeah.
very happy that I kind of get my revenge today. Yeah.
A little bit of a grudge match after your last time meeting up against them during the Proving Grounds tournament, and now you get to mark your place, jungle diff, in that series, especially on that Graves in Game 4. I want to take a step back and get a little reflection from you. You guys did get a chance to play on stage against Evil Genius's LCS squad just this past weekend, and I know it wasn't the most fun matchup to play, but you know, what were some of the things that you as a whole team took away from playing against that team?
Probably we learn from our mistakes, like look out to fight mid lane first and get some referral, play on like strongest side, and yeah, we learn about that and we played that today.
Yeah, that definitely showed in this series. Being able to see you guys play towards Luger and Poom a lot, and these two have really stepped up there. They're playing the bottom side of the map. Kind of one more question to throw your way before I let you go, Kenvi. Looking forward ahead, your next opponents are going to be FlyQuest Academy, and they've been dominating the top of the Academy leaderboards, either with their main Academy squad or even bringing in some of the players from the LCS squad. For you, who are you most looking at to try and shut down on that squad?
Probably the jungle. I feel like their jungle is like did a great game in like LCS and that's why they're first place in Academy too. So I'll be like mostly for like their teammates and mostly their jungle. Yeah, I want to take him down next week.
Okay. Quick little follow-up question. is it going to be NXI or Jose Diodo that that you want to take down specifically?
Probably NXI for now. Maybe just the other next.
Okay. NXI first and then Jose Diodo next. You're just a straight up killer, man. All right, well, Shane, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. Congratulations again. See you next week.
Thank you so much. See you next week.
Damn. NXI
Oof.
first, Jose Diodo next. So
He wants
even
them
if-
both.
Yeah, he wants them both, man. So if FlyQuest like have to pull out a jungle swap in mid-series, I don't even know what the roster is going to be like going into that. But oh man,
Yeah, he's
Damn,
talking about a next as in next year when Kenby will be on a starting LCS roster.
oh, there
most
you
likely.
go,
Yeah,
there you go.
There you go. Honestly, everybody is just on the list at this point. Just line them all up. He'll knock them down.
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. Well, for us here on the desk, we had a great time watching this quarterfinal series unfold. Tomorrow we are going to have Cloud9 and Evil Geniuses play out their quarterfinal matchup as well. And even though I won't be joining you guys on the desk tomorrow, or I won't be able to see you guys tomorrow, I want to get in your thoughts, starting with Kangas. What are your thoughts going into that matchup for tomorrow?
Oh man, that one's gonna be an interesting one. So I honestly felt like today's match, I had a pretty good feeling, and I was wrong about it. I thought Immortals were gonna take the win over 100 Thieves just based on the trajectories that they were going. But Cloud9 going up against Evil Geniuses, EG are notorious for going 1-1 against every team throughout the summer season, but now it's a best of 5. So it's like, are they? I feel like it's gonna go 5 games, but I don't know if I'm actually edging them out over Cloud9 Academy, who have been looking better. But I think I still am leaning slightly towards EG there.
Interesting, because I also think this one's going to be very, very close, right? On paper, should be easy for Cloud9 to win this, but again, as Westrice gave us some insight before, it's been kind of difficult to get this team to play as a cohesive unit throughout the summer split. So I think it's going to be a real test of Cloud9 to see if they can work together and take down Evil Geniuses, because if they can, I think all the new guys over on Evil Geniuses Academy, even after they've lost contracts a little bit, is going to be a really big opportunity for them to show that they have what it takes to take down some veterans.
I'm just predicting Tomio's going to come in, and he's going to show us exactly why the team puts faith in him to actually come in into playoffs and replace contracts. Like the best, maybe best player in Academy. Or you could make an argument for that. I'm really hot on Tomio, and also I love watching Tony Top versus Darshan. Every time I see these two top laners go against each other, it gets bloody, it gets ridiculous. So I think that we're in for a real treat on the top half of the map.
Okay, well, I mean, yeah, definitely not wrong there. There's so many exciting matchups to look at across the board. Even Jojo Pion and Copy to an extent, as Copy has been showing great performances in recent, especially on the set as well, as most of his I think his teammates have called him the chairman of set or the CEO of set of something along that nature, just because his set gameplay has
the boss. I mean, it's in the title. I don't think you need to change that.
That's what Copy told me in the interview that we had during the last week of Academy. But, you know, on behalf of the broadcast staff and crew, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to thank you all for joining us here on our first quarterfinals matchup here in the Academy playoff season. Make sure you tune in same time tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, for our second quarterfinals between Cloud9 and Evil Geniuses tomorrow. We'll see you then, and have a good night.